When I started having kids, I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew there might have been sleepless nights, days just supporting my wife. I knew it was going to be hard going back to work, after a month of just being at home, taking care of everybody. But I was not prepared for how difficult it actually was going to be. And, I thought I had control on my bad habits before I started having kids. For me, it was scrolling on social media, just wasting time online, and eating junk food, eating too many baked goods. But I had pretty good control on it before I started having kids. But once my stress increased, my responsibilities increased, I was losing sleep, I noticed these things getting worse and worse. And maybe for you, it's something else. You know, lots of people cope in different ways. Could be alcohol, pornography, smoking, whatever it is. We all have these bad habits that come out sometimes when we're really stressed, and becoming a dad or just stress of being a father can definitely make these things worse. And so in this video, I want to share what I noticed about my bad habits, what was going on, and what I did to kind of change the way I was looking at this to start getting control over them again. So maybe you've noticed this as well. There's sort of this pattern where you maybe have a long day, you have a lot of stress built up, the end of the day comes, and you need to really relieve yourself. You need to unwind, and because there's so much on your mind, so much on your plate, you just don't even think. You just instantly go to what's comfortable, what has been comfortable maybe since you've grown up. For me, that was food, just going to the pantry, going to the fridge. Maybe it was some cookies someone dropped off, not even thinking, and just going to town, right? And that relieves that stress in the moment. But then inevitably, afterwards, over time, all these negative emotions come up because I know how these habits are affecting my life, my family. They're not making things better, and so I'm feeling guilty for that. I'm feeling ashamed myself. Like, how am I so weak? Like, I should be better than this. I'm a father now. I need to be more disciplined. I'm mad. I'm upset at myself. And to kind of use an analogy, what I was doing in the beginning is I was using this negative emotion to try and fuel myself. I thought, okay, if I'm just as upset as I can, if I really feel that guilt, then I'm going to make the changes, because that's how it works in some other areas of life. We can use that emotion to fuel us towards making changes. And that might fuel you the next day. It's fresh in your mind, in your recent experience. You're like, I remember how upset at myself I was. And the next day comes and you're actually able to quit for that day and make that change. But, and the reason you're probably watching this video is because it doesn't last. It's not consistent. That fuel is not a consistent source of energy to resist these bad habits. Because usually the next day comes, we have more of that stress buildup, we come to the end of the day, and most of that guilt, shame, or anger has sort of dissipated. And as soon as our mind gets that thought, we can relieve this with eating, alcohol, video games, whatever. That part of our brain, that negative emotion part, shuts off. We don't feel that anymore, we forget. And so that's why we can't be consistent just telling ourselves, be better. Because that's what these negative emotions tell us to do. They tell us, to get upset at ourselves. They tell us we need to change, but they don't tell us actually how to do that. And they're not there when we need them. Before we actually eat the third cookie, or we drink that six pack, or we scroll on social media for an hour. They've disappeared. And so we need to find, and what I needed to do was find another way, a more reliable source, energy and resistance. Now, it's really easy to fall into this trap of relying on our emotions because sometimes it's successful. As I mentioned before, sometimes through sheer willpower, you're able to avoid your bad habits. That makes you think, I can do this consistently. But willpower is a finite resource. Many days we use a lot of it up during our day, taking care of our family, going to our job, doing hard things, just making decisions, and then the end of the day comes, that negative emotion is dissipated. We don't have the willpower to resist the temptation of instant gratification. And so we need to figure out, again, what is a reliable source of fuel, what overpowers emotions and willpower. And really, it's two things. And one of these won't be important right now, but in the future, and one of these you can start building right now. And that's systems and habits. So habits, this will come later, but to explain this, if you think about like brushing your teeth, most people have a habit of brushing their teeth. Like even if you don't have much willpower at the end of the day, you're tired, you want to go to bed, most of the time you're still going to brush your teeth, right? Just because it's a habit, it's part of your routine. It doesn't require thinking, it doesn't require emotions. And that will come over time as we build good habits, but right now, as we're doing that, we need to build systems. And so, what are these? This is getting rid of that thinking, getting rid of those emotions so that we always make the right choice, so that we have no choice but to make the right choice and form the good habits. So, if we get to use sort of a car metaphor, if you are in an older car and you're backing up, you need to look around, look behind you to make sure you're not going to hit anybody. If you're in a little bit of a newer car with a better system, you have a backup camera, maybe it's going to send you signals to make sure you don't make a wrong choice. Then, if you're even in a more high-tech car, things that are more getting developed right now, self-driving cars, arguably, the best system in this case, then you don't even need to do any driving. You're not going to get an accident. The AI has video all around your vehicle, so there's zero chance you can mess up and get in an accident. And so that's what we want to create in our life, around our habits at night. Things around our stress, what's really causing this, around our environment, both physically and socially. There's a lot of different systems we can build so that we're forced to make the right choice. So if we go back to that pattern that I was talking about earlier, which maybe you're able to see clearly, we have this stress build up, the end of the day comes, we want relief, we want to have fun, whatever it is, we engage in whatever's easiest. And then we have those negative emotions that come. And so instead of relying on these negative emotions, we need to take a look at the other parts of this pattern. What systems can we build around dealing with stress in healthier ways? What systems can we build around managing access to that thing so it's not instantly accessible? We can't get to it in 5 seconds, when we're feeling bad at the end of the day. So I'm going to give you one specific tool and system you can build as soon as you're done this video so you can start taking control of your bad habits. And that one we're going to talk about here is accountability. And I'm not talking about the sort of buddy-buddy accountability where you're just sharing your goals with somebody. I'm talking about having someone that you're going to check in with daily and who's going to be disappointed if you're not sticking to what you said. So this can be very simple. Ideally, this is someone who's going to give you that tough love. maybe a brother, maybe a friend. It could be someone you find just through the subreddit accountability partners. You can find people who will do this for you. And someone that you talk to every single day and who will check in with you if you don't proactively do so yourself. This could be your spouse if they're willing to do that. But if you have someone that you have to tell, if you ate food that you told yourself you weren't going to, or you spent time playing a game you told this person you weren't going to, then you're going to be far less likely to do that. So tell your accountability partner how important this is to you, how you want to be checked in on, and all it takes is one time where you tell them that you messed up, and I promise you're going to be far less likely to mess up in the future. And studies have shown that we're far more likely to reach our goals if we have an accountability partner. So this is just one system that you can put in place to stop relying on willpower and emotions and make it easier for you to create good habits. So I'll be talking about more of these systems in future videos. If you want to sort of understand your specific situation and what's the best systems for you so you can get rid of these bad habits as fast as possible, then you can click in the link in the description to set up time to chat with me. But otherwise, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.